as you all know that India is developing in various sectors such as industries, health, education and entertainment, and especially in the field of entertainment, Indian cinemas plays a pivotal role. And because it does not serve the purpose of entertainment, it also gives a powerful message through its film. Hello everyone, welcome to the Innews series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today we are going to discuss Cinematography Amendment Bill 2023, and this topic is important from GS1 as well as GS2 perspective. It can also come in your art and culture as well as polity. So moving to the points of discussion part, first of all we will discuss the news and it's that why we are discussing this news and the background, that why this bill has come now, what is the background of this bill, different versions of this bill showing films on television, because it has a different kind of rules and regulation for telecasting this film in television, and the piracy. So this topic is very important from this bill point of view, and then practice question for prelims and mains. Here you have to be very careful for your mains preparation. Moving to the next slide, which is the news part. So we all know that on 27th of July, Rajya Sabha has passes the Cinematography Amendment Bill 2023, and it has largely focused on two things. First thing is piracy and second is certification. So these are the two important factors of this bill. And what are the other provisions of this bill? So the bill lays 3-year jail terms in case of the piracy, and the person has to pay 5% of the production cost of the total film. So this is the new regulation which has been introduced in this bill. And the third is that, you know, in the Oppenheimer video, what we have discussed, that there are 4 categories for the certification of the film, and under it UA category was one of them. And right now we have 3 subcategories under UA. The first is UA 7+, UA 13+, and UA 16+. So these are the categories under which the children of this age group will be able to watch these kind of films. And the fourth is that, you know, there will be the separate provision for the certification of films on the television. Means earlier there was only one certification and that is applied to everywhere. But right now there is a different kind of certification for the TV, for the social media. So this is the brief about this news. Moving to the next slide. So what is the background? So we all know that there was a Cinematograph Act 1952, and at that time that act was introduced according to the need of that time. But right now the time has changed, the demand has changed, and the requirement of the people has changed. There are different kinds and versions of films are produced in India. So right now whatever the demands we have, so this bill has designed accordingly. And the second thing is that, you know, what are the different kind of provisions and the focus area of this bill. So the first is to harmonize the law with the various executive orders, because we have seen that Supreme Court is constantly asking the filmmakers, the CBFC, that you need to make certain kind of films, and the CBFC has also need to certify certain kind of the films. It has to edit that kind of the films. So these are guidelines which have to followed in this bill. The second is that to improve the procedures of licensing of the film. Whatever the licensing norms we have, that is very lengthy. So right now in this bill, the licensing procedure will be very easy. The third is that to expand the scope of categorization of the certification, because earlier there are only 4 kind of categorization, but right now there are sub-categorization under UA category. So this is new. And the third is that, you know, the bill will largely focus on the piracy thing. So we will discuss this thing, piracy, in the further slide. Moving to the next slide. So the 2 versions. So what are the versions we have? Earlier this bill was introduced in 2019, and at that time they had largely focused on the piracy. And after several of revisions and recommendation and consultation, the bill was finally produced in the Rajya Sabha in 2023. And we all know that, you know, it has largely focused on the piracy and also on the certification. And earlier the bill contains Jammu and Kashmir, special provision for Jammu and Kashmir, but right now after the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, this provision has been omitted. So this is the 2 version of this bill. Moving to the next slide. So showing films on television. So there is a different kind of rules and regulation for the television. So under the Cable Television Network Regulation Act 1995, only UA category films are allowed to telecast on the television. But right now there is a different kind of provision. So adult and special category kinds of films are also allowed to telecast on the television. But there is a twist in this bill. So all these films will be telecasted on television with certain modifications, certain alteration. Because if we will not modify or alter the film, then it will have a bad and negative impact on the children and also on the society at large. So this is the new twist. The second is that earlier the CBSE certification was valid for just 10 years, but right now it has become timeless. And the third is that, center will not have any revisional authority in CBFC certification. It means that, the film certification is free from the political pressure and political agenda, because right now we are seeing that in many films there is a protest and people are saying that, this particular film has been passed by the censor board because of to fulfill the particular agenda. But right now this thing has been removed. Moving to the next slide. So what is piracy? First of all, we will discuss the piracy. So piracy is a duplication of a copyrighted content and which can be sold into the market at a very cheaper prices, and the market is very grey market. This is not the official or authenticated market. So this is the piracy, and under this bill piracy is largely prohibited, not largely, fully prohibited. And after pandemic, what we have seen that online piracy has been increased, and it has been increased by 62%. And this has hugely impacted the economic scenario, and it has a lots of revenue collection loss and also on the employment of the people. And after the pandemic, what we have seen that there was 11% reduction in employment opportunity in the film industry. And according to the United Nations India Business Council, there was 20,000 crore loss of annually because of the film piracy. So these are the provisions which will be strictly prohibited under this bill. And under this, what we have seen that, right now today's films are not just limited to the cinema halls. They are also part of the social media platform. They are also part of the television platform. So this bill encompasses all the acts which are related to the television and which are also related to the Information and Technology Act. So this is a peculiar feature about this bill. Moving to the next slide, which is question. Consider the following statement regarding Cinematography Act 1952. So the first statement is, according to it, U stands for universal exhibition. Second is S stands for specific groups like doctors and engineers. Third is A stands for adult only. And here they are asking the not correct statement. And your options are only one, only two, all three, none. So moving to the mains part. So your mains question is, what do you understand by the concept of freedom of speech and expression? Do you think films in India are forms of expression? Discuss. So first of all, what you have to find? You have to find the concept of freedom of speech and expression. So first of all, you have to define this thing, freedom of speech and expression, in your intro part. And here you have to mention Article 19 of Indian Constitution and its 6 provisions. And here you have to also mention that, freedom of speech and expression are provided to every citizen of this country. But that should not be arbitrary, that should not be absolute in nature. There should be certain kind of limitation on the freedom of speech and expression. And so this thing you have to define in your intro part. The second part says that, do you think films in India are forms of expression? Definitely they are forms of expression. But Supreme Court what has said that in 𝐾𝐒 𝐏𝐫𝐴S versus Union of India, in that case Supreme Court has opined that, in motion picture there is a different kind of sentiments involved there, and that is a different kind of art also, and it can release the sentiments immediately. So films should be treated very differently, and that should be not absolute in nature. So there should be certain limitation on the films, and there should be definitely censorship of the film. So this is the brief about this question. And in conclusion, you have to write in a very balanced way that, freedom of speech and expression is mandatory for the democratic setup of the society, but that should not be absolute in nature. And films are definitely part of forms of expression, but that should not serve any political agenda or economic agenda. I hope you like this lecture. If you have any queries related to this lecture, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you.